Alright, hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and this is going to be episode number 2 of Skilling with Stats. If you guys haven't checked out my first episode, go ahead and do that. That was on fletching. If you need help with fletching, I would guess. If you don't need help with fletching, you came here for crafting, then go ahead and stick around. So basically, I'll go ahead and explain what this series is all about. So in Skilling with Stats, what I want to do is go ahead, take a look at many different ways to get 99s in different skills, and go ahead and compare hours and realistic cost of each method, and try to find where it is the most profitable or the most efficient for individuals to go ahead and get 99s through different methods. So that's what I look forward to doing in this video. Hope you guys enjoy. If you guys do, make sure to leave a like, and let's get right on into it. Alright, and now we are on to the profitable crafting methods. So as you guys can see at the beginning of this Excel sheet, you have leather items, which include gloves, boots, cowls, van braces, bodies, and chaps. This is going to be universal throughout all of the methods that I show you here today, because that is the best way about going and getting level 1 through 20 smithing, as it is the fastest and you lose relatively barely any money. So it's going to be the way you're going to want to go about that. Once you hit level 20, as you guys can see with this method, you're going to want to go ahead and do sapphire rings all the way until 27. From there, you're going to want to go ahead and do 27 to 42 with emerald rings, then 42 through 58 with ruby bracelets, and then finally, this is where it differs. You can do diamond bracelets from 58 until 99 if you wish. You will lose money on this. This will be a method that will go ahead and lose you 10.7 mil. However, compared to the other methods that we'll see today, your average crafting methods, that's relatively low, and it does take a lot of time, but you lose not that much money, so it may be worth it to you. If you're someone that's just going for 80 even, I mean, you would almost break even. The real grind of this comes from 80 to 99, so this is probably the best method maybe for your average person, as you will get to a decently high crafting level without losing barely any money. However, if you go for 99, you will spend 125 hours and have a 10.5 mil loss. So from there, as you guys can see below, it is the alternative method. Now this is something that you will constantly make money on. So if somebody's looking for a profitable, just a non-stop profitable method for crafting, this is what you're going to want to go ahead and do. So as you guys can see, I calculated down there, it's going to take you, however, 148 hours, but you'll make 6.5 mil. So in total, you'll be gaining yourself from the previous method 17 mil, but it'll cost you about another 23 hours of your time. So if that's worth it to you, go ahead and decide that for yourself. That being said, let's go ahead and get on into the next method. So the next method may be one of the most common methods that you'll probably see people doing, and this will be the battle staff method. So basically what I figured here was we're going to go ahead and do level 1 through 20 with leather again, as you do. But people that are willing to do battle staffs are also probably willing to cut gems. Alright, so as I was saying, basically anyone that is doing battle staffs is probably willing to also cut gems to go ahead and get their levels up, as it is the equivalent of battle staffs, like a fast and quick method, but for medium levels. So basically what you're going to want to do here is go ahead and cut sapphires for level 20 through 27, emeralds from 27 to 34, rubies from 34 to 43, and diamonds from 43 to 54. This is going off the levels that you can do them. There are more cost-efficient ways to go about doing this. Personally, I would say most of the time, probably cutting sapphires is probably the best thing to do all the way through this, because cutting sapphires still going to be relatively quick at those levels, and you won't lose barely any money compared to what you're losing with diamonds. As you guys can see, with diamonds you end up losing 1.9 mil in not that much time, as you're losing 2100 GP per one. And then with sapphires, as you guys, well, I guess you guys can't see, but you lose 250 per cut sapphire. So realistically, in the time it takes you to get the EXP for diamond, you'll be losing about 550 GP with sapphires. However, with diamonds, you'll be losing more, around 2000. So it's definitely more efficient to do that, I would say, for the average person, but this is a relatively short amount of time in the total of a 99, so it won't matter all that much in the end. So from there, what you're going to want to do is then go ahead and do the best battle staffs possible. One thing that you will have to take into account is the prices of them at the times. I'm personally going off of what I see right now, so alright, so there may be times where fire battle staffs are more cost efficient than air battle staffs. That's something that you'll have to come up with yourself. Personally, I just went off of the cost of all of the items at this time, so I'll go ahead and tell you guys where I went from here. So we started with water battle staffs from 54 to 58. Not that much time spent on these. It's relatively short amount of time, since these are pretty low levels and these are really quick methods. So From there, you go to Earth Battle Staffs. Now, Earth Battle Staffs could be a little more expensive, but it's Earth Battle Staffs from level 58 to 62. Then from 62 to 66, you're going to want to go ahead and do Fire Battle Staffs. And then from 66 to 99, if you choose to do this method, you're going to want to go ahead and use Air Battle Staffs. Now, as you guys can see, this is a lot quicker than the last method that I showed you. So it only takes you 40 hours compared to the 125 or 148 to get 99 in crafting, which is a relatively short 99 as it is a buyable. So it's going to be pretty short if you want to make it be so. And as you guys can see, it costs 110 mil in total to do this method. So that's something you can consider. But with that being said, let's get on into the next one. Alright, so from here I went ahead and probably show the best method in this guide. So this starts off much the same as the last method I showed you guys. As you guys can see, leather stuff 1 through 20, cutting gems from 20 until you can hit water battle staffs, which is at 54, and then from water battle staffs at 54 all the way to fire battle staffs at 66. You're going to want to go ahead and do that. Then from there, you're going to want to do the best bodies that you can. I actually lied about that. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. The fire battle staffs you're going to want to do from 62 to 63, just so you know. But then from there, this is where it kind of splits up. So you're going to want to go ahead and do green d'hide bodies from 63 to 71. Then blue d'hide bodies from 71 till 84. And then black from 84 to 99. So obviously I did skip over a tier here, and that is red dragon hide, but from what I was looking at, it seldomly comes into the game because no one kills red dragons, and it's just way too expensive to do that. So I wouldn't say for the average person it's worth it, but if you want to go ahead and do that, I guess you can. But to be totally honest with you, blue is going to be a better route. So as you guys can see in this method, it's actually so much better than the battle staff method, which I found as a surprise. I didn't know, well, I kind of knew it was going to be quicker, but I figured it would then be more expensive. However, right now, 99 doing these bodies is going to take you about 33 hours, and you'll have a 97 mil loss, which is 13 mil less than the battle staffs and 7 hours less, which is great. So I mean, realistically, the battle staff method is never the way you want to go, since even with battle staffs you do have to bank a lot. So while it may be just a slight bit more AFK, it relatively is around the same bank time. So I'd say if you're going to go ahead and do battle staffs, you may as well switch to dragon hides, but that is just me personally. If you wish to do that, that is your own choice. And from there, we have the last method that you guys will see from me this episode. So far we've gone through a profitable method and 2 expensive ones, one being better than the other in my personal opinion. And now we go into kind of the oddball method that I always like to throw into these videos, and I'm going to try to incorporate in the future. So this is going to be something that may not be in the minds of most, but it's going to be super glassmaking. So this is a method in which you get 13 sand, 13 seaweed out of your bank. You have astral runes in your inventory. You have a smoke battle staff, and you are on the lunar spellbook. You'll need 77 mage to do this, and you can just cast the glass super make, and it'll make all of the, or super glass make, and it'll make all of the seaweed and sand in your inventory into molten glass. So the reason that this is so good is that it's actually really profitable. However, it will take a lot of time. So I'm going to go through the method real quick. So as you guys can see, basically what you're going to want to do is your average your average crafting method all the way up until the point of super glass make. So super glass make can be unlocked at 61 crafting. I think technically you don't need a level, but you do need to have the lunar spellbook, which requires 61 to be able to start the quest. So that's where that comes from. But super glass make, as I was saying, is a magic spell that you can do, and it offers a ton of bonuses in the fact that you'll be able to get 130 XP per cast. However, you have to bank every time you do a cast. So this relatively comes down to how quick and how fast you're able to bank and do the super glass make. Now, this is something that may be a little tedious, as it will take 213 hours to go ahead and get 99. However, you have to kind of understand that you'll also make 104 mil, which is about a 200 mil difference from the other more costly methods. While it does take you another 160 hours, it does save you a ton of money. And also on top of that, the unseen benefits, as you guys can see I have on screen now, is you will end up getting 7.6 mil magic XP, which will then get you to 95 mage, assuming that you started at level 77, which is the actual base level needed to cast this spell. So that is it for the 4 methods. I'm going to go ahead and compare them now and see which one you guys would feel the most comfortable with. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so up on screen now you guys can see that we have just a quick overview of everything that is in these methods. So with crafting battle staffs you end up spending 40 hours but lose 110 mil, and then with crafting dragonhide bodies you go ahead and spend 33 hours pretty much and lose 97 mil. So that's why I said the overall efficiency of crafting battle staffs is not. There's just no you're not efficient in doing that. You're wasting time and money, so it's not in your best interest to do that if you're going to want to go ahead and do crafting. From there I go ahead and show you guys the profit method at number 4. So the profitable method, if you cannot make more than 930k, it's more efficient to go ahead and do the first method, which is losing money on diamond bracelets. However, if you cannot make more than 770k, then it is most efficient for you to go ahead and do the ruby bracelet method, which is the more profitable but longer time spent method. From there, if you want to go ahead and compare the super glassmaking method, which I know may be off the list for many of you at this point, but it is really good. You'll go ahead and spend 213 hours, which is a ton of time, and I understand that, but you'll make 104 mil profits. So realistically, this comes down to a 1.1 mil per hour. If you can make over 1.1 mil, it's more efficient for you to craft dragonhide bodies. However, if you can't, you can also do the super glassmaking method, which would be the most profitable for you to do, the most efficient. That is considering that you only care about crafting XP. If you also need magic XP though, I mean, go ahead and factor that in on your own. I don't know how much it's worth to you. Realistically, if we're talking about overall efficiency, magic shouldn't be a time loss skill at all, as you should be casting magic imbue the entire time that you do other skills. So if you're talking technical efficiency, this wouldn't be the best way to go because you should be able to get it in other ways, but this is something you have to factor in. If you're somebody that was going to do high alching all the way to 94 magic, this is probably the best way to go about it because you'll get a ton of crafting levels and you'll actually, save a ton of time that you would be alching. So that's what I have to say. Crafting dragonhide bodies, obviously, if you can make over 1.1 mil an hour, is the most efficient then, since we've crossed out all the other methods. So with that being said, that's going to be the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. If you guys want to see future videos of mine as soon as they go live, make sure to hit that sub button, and comment down below anything you guys want to see in the future, what you wish the next skilling guide would be. But with that being said, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.